Bueno, Judith Hemming, nos da muchísimo gusto que platicar contigo y que nos hables ahora de tu participación en el tercer intensivo que se va a realizar en Acapulco.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me to the intensive, and I'm really looking forward to being there. And I understand that the overall topic is about systemic health. And my workshop will be, in a way, a return to the central influence of the family and of the couple relationship, so that we can kind of meet again and get a stronger connection with what supports parents to reconnect to the flow of love for themselves, and particularly to ease the burdens that the children might otherwise carry, so that because children are so drawn to represent the completeness of the family system, they often suffer in ways that are very, very difficult to understand, and which parents, even though they long to help, don't always know how to help. So this is very, very central material to systemic work, because we all have had parents, and most of us are partners, and many of us are parents. So it's a lifelong preoccupation. And with our families, we share this very remarkable thing that Bert Hellinger used to call a fellowship of fate, in which the obligations and debts and sufferings that a family have gone through, often for many generations, are somehow shared. And children then get caught into atoning or trying to put right or following or sharing or identifying in ways that really limit the richness of their lives. And we actually want them to value and use their lives in a much freer way. So in a way, I want to go back to the most sort of basic truths of what these orders of love are, these forces that if we align ourselves to in an intelligent and a flexible way, bring a lot of relief. And I also want to look at the impact of trauma, both people's personal trauma, which interferes with their ability to bond and to create intimacy, and also inherited trauma, which creates even more mysterious difficulties. So although constellation work has expanded in many, many beautiful and different and disparate directions, I'm really going back to its original focus, which is the one I love, because I've spent so much of my therapeutic professional life working with couples and with families, so that people can somehow settle into being in the right place and the right size, and feeling that they do have a place, that they really belong and are safe. So sometimes this kind of constellation work can do what years of therapy and other things can't do. It can somehow turn the soul to a place of rest and openness. And that's what I've spent a lot of the last 25 years that I've been working in this field. That's what I've been focusing on, getting more skilled at helping people find their way into and then out of these sometimes very distressing entanglements.
Entonces, las personas que asistan a tu taller se van a llevar herramientas que les van a permitir ayudar a sus clientes y ponerlas al servicio de sus clientes. ¿Es eso? Am I correct?
Yes, I'm imagining that there will be some time where I will talk, and somehow we'll go back to these very core understandings, and participants will have the opportunity to do exercises, and there will be, I hope, time to demonstrate. So it'll be quite an active session. That's the area, and I'm not, in a way, trying to do anything too novel in it. In a way, I want to give people the opportunity to go back to the absolute basic building blocks of systemic work and of what brings about health for the next generation.
Podrías, muchísimas gracias por explicarnos cómo va a ser tu trabajo durante el taller en el intensivo, y para aquellas personas que todavía no te conocen, ¿podrías hablarnos un poco sobre tu camino en constelaciones, cómo conociste constelaciones y cómo ha sido en estos años?
I think it's a good question because we bring all of our life history to our particular way of doing constellations, and the relevant parts of my life history, which I know do influence the way I work, is that first of all, my original profession was as a teacher, and so I've been very involved, for instance, in bringing systemic work into schools. But I've been even more involved through that in thinking about how valuable it is for people to be able to hold their stories in a new narrative form. So I was an English teacher and I love literature and language, and I know that a lot of what I have become good at is helping to shape stories so that they really bring strength and respect back into the family system. But I was 30 years a therapist, and I specialized in couples and families, mainly to support my own. I think lots of people do. And I was trained in Gestalt, and I was a Gestalt practitioner and trainer. And I think that also has been influential, because it means that I can be very inventive and experimental in how I set up and frame constellations, because that, in a way, was a gift from Gestalt. I think the other things that have had an effect on me and do support me is my own spiritual practice and my love of nature. I spend a lot of time in nature, and I think those have given me a more peaceful and less frantic feeling that only one solution is possible, that somehow it's a very, very big world and we can find our peace in its beauty. And I've been a wife for 47 years or something like that. So very happily married I am now, or perhaps have been most of the time, and I have children and grandchildren. And that's a very important focus for me, probably the one that will carry me through long after I finish doing this work. So my way of constellating rests, I think, on those, and I see a lot of what I do as having an educational function and probably a kind of more neurobiological scientific function too, because the more I understand about how important the integration of brain states are, the more I try to direct the work to attend to those integrative functions. So those are my supports, I suppose, that influence the way I work and make it unique to me, which I think all constellators do develop a way of working that's unique to them. And I've been doing it for 25 years. And it's felt like a very short time. I've loved every minute of it.
Nos da muchísimo gusto que regreses a México, que estés con nosotros y compartas con nosotros tu sabiduría y tu experiencia. ¿Y algún mensaje, último mensaje que quisieras mandarle a los participantes?
Well, one of the things I noticed at the last intensive was how wonderful the men were, and how lovely it was that so many men came, and how open they were. And even though they carried a lot of very, very difficult histories and a lot of suffering, their presence made it possible for this kind of family work to open up in a way that's more difficult if the women take too much of that responsibility. So I'm very, very delighted to be in a country which has taken work so well that it's really reached the men and the women together.
Muchísimas gracias por estar con nosotros, por mandar este mensaje, y sí esperemos que en esta ocasión otra vez muchos hombres participen en la riqueza que nos dan las constelaciones. Nos vemos pronto.